Very awesome.
Yeah.
So much more satisfied,
Yeah.
bringing in some of those positive changes, huh?
Yeah, just eating that was I didn't eat nearly as much as I would normally be eating. So
Very awesome. So satisfied with less. Oh boy.
surprisingly, yeah.
There you go.
There you
Technology.
You got it.
Yeah, so see, back to the discussion on metformin. Metformin is great for obesity-related disease, like diabetes, okay, type 2 diabetes, okay? And yeah, did everybody get a look at that book? I don't think you did. We'll bring it up here. So this is just kind of an encyclopedia that I'm going to be referencing here. One of your handouts is actually on that today, and just kind of showing you there, some of how that this doctor and his life work, kind of puts this all together. So Millie, when we're talking about metformin, we're talking about a drug used to treat a disease. Okay? So what I love to do is, metformin usually is paired with other medications as well, if diabetes is not well controlled. So when we start plugging in nutraceuticals,
I have cut. I cut out my sugars and stuff, and my sugars keep going up to 150 or, and I wonder about that.
because there's more to diabetes than sugar.
Well, yes, it's the carbohydrates.
More to diabetes than carbohydrates. Okay? Can anybody tell me what else is involved? Fat. Okay?
Yes, yes.
So fat intake. So while the focus is oftentimes on the carbohydrates, carbohydrates is a bad word. It's a bad word because it's not well understood. And I think when we start understanding that we need the complex carbohydrates that we find in whole foods, we need those complex carbohydrates because they are associated with a variety of nutrients, including phytonutrients. But they're also associated with the whole food with what else that's going to have a profound impact? Fiber. Because now, instead of that immediate release form, of processed food, if I gave you a donut, shoot your blood sugars up. But if I give you an apple, it's going to be a much more gradual rise because the fiber in the apple is actually going to prolong that and moderate the blood sugar response. So metformin, sounds like, is a necessary part of your regimen right now, because without it, your blood sugars go up, the viscosity of your blood goes up, the increased risk of a cardiovascular event goes up, and all of a sudden we've got all these negatives that we have got to balance. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
You bet.
So this is just being really a devil's advocate, or maybe that wouldn't be the term, but how come you can't just eat a donut and drink one of those fiber drinks? What is it called? Just kidding.
That's great.
I mean, somebody.
Some people's wives, I'll tell you.
Well, there's a mental attitude. It's like with heart condition, people say, well, I don't want to change my diet because I still want to eat my hamburger,
Sure.
so I just take my medication.
Sure.
And a lot of people think that way.
Absolutely. Your name, sir?
Randy.
Randy?
Yeah.
So nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
I'm Rob.
Nice to meet you. Thank
I
you.
just really like your testimony. If you don't mind, I'm going to use you as an example.
Absolutely.
Okay.
As long as you tell me I'm not sick. My ex-girlfriend said, You know, because I've been sick, you know.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
lost so much weight, and, you know, so fast.
Randy, be careful, you're gonna get healthy on us.
Yeah.
And it looks like you're on your way.
Yeah, no,
I'm
and
excited
it's
about
cheerfulness
that.
is there, and the excitement for life is there.
I like it. So, I have a young man,
I'm not sweet.
okay, that because of the positive changes made, if he had not stopped alcohol, I would have died. Okay? Where's his health going? Where's his blood sugars going?
You're gonna get pickled.
Pickled. Okay, so in the psychiatric office, what am I going to see?
A neurotic person.
Okay, if this young man came down to see me or came up to see me in Reading, would he walk in with smiling, muscles working, engaged in life? Alcohol is a depressant. Okay, and back to Margot's scenario here. Okay, if this young man had diabetes and he's going, okay, I love my alcohol, I'm going to go see my doctor because my blood sugars, I know I'm way out of control. I get shaky, and so I have to eat something. You know, then I'm drinking something, and I start getting shaky again. I'm feeling kind of nauseated, just not feeling good. So he goes in and sees his doc, and the medical assistant checks his blood sugars, and it's 280. So the doc goes, well, not only do you need metformin, but I think I might throw a little bit of glipizide at you as well. Because the glipizide is going to ramp up your pancreas, and your body's going to start dumping more insulin in. And so we're going to make that, and then I'll see you in a few weeks, okay? Or sooner if needed. So now all of a sudden I've got this young man medicated so that he can continue with
His alcohol.
his alcohol. Now, have I done him a favor?
No.
But I only had 10 minutes.
Well, see, that's the problem.
Okay.
You get 5 minutes with your doctor and you get charged $250.
That's pretty cheap.
I think it's pretty expensive for 5
Just kidding.
minutes.
But you see where we're at as a society.
You find a doctor that's willing to spend time with you.
All right. So is it going to take more than 5 minutes or 10 minutes for me to educate this young man on the importance of
Definitely.
moving away from the alcohol,
Yeah.
getting off the Amarillo that I just started him on, and reducing and potentially moving completely away from the metformin?
It took about 14 weeks of counseling.
Okay.
You know, and that, even though I knew the answer, it was just about, in shooting. Said, well, nothing's going to change until you stop.
There you go. So basically, back to the scenario.
Still, it was a tough crossroad.
Right. So the same scenario, whether it's alcohol or donuts, okay, or pizza, okay, and I have so many folks, and I've worked with so many folks that the biggest hurdle was breakfast. And I got to tell you, when we overcame that hurdle, and we start, and first we have to understand, Command Central, what we have between our ears, has got to lead. And when we start understanding that, much of my life has been directioned by how I was raised, the habits that I've developed, okay, and some situational stuff. So I'm sitting here going, okay, so when I realize, Command Central realizes that I have the ability to retrain, and I start recognizing the profound impact that scientific studies have supported for years and years and years, that when kids eat a good breakfast, their grades go up, social interactions go up, physical abilities go up, obesity goes down. Cardiovascular risk decreased by about 30%.
That was 2 years.
Can I show them this?
Yeah, absolutely. Pass it around.
This was Randy.
Right.
It's good to have you here.
It's good to be here.
And it's just, you know, it's truly each one of us. We all have our challenges. I leave the office because usually my front desk has completely overwhelmed me. Sorry, Will. And so I'm leaving the office at 7:30. I get home at about 8, and I'm just about ready to start chewing on the table leg. Of course, none of you have that problem, right? So I'm sitting there eating dinner at 8 o'clock at night, and what thoughts are going through my head?
Too late to eat.
Too late to eat. Rob, what are you doing? Going, well, the table leg, oh man. So you try to find balance, but each one of us, including the guy standing right here, we've got challenges. And so we start retraining thought process. We start making positive changes, and lo and behold, we start dealing with daily events. Yeah, not every day is going to be perfect, but if we can have more good days than not, going, hallelujah. You know, it's a big deal. Yes?
There should be more doctors that are educated in bedside manners. And I'll tell you a story. When I was diagnosed as being diabetic 20 years ago, my doctor hands me a prescription and says, here, take this. My prescription was insulin and needles.
Wow.
That's the only education I got.
Okay.
So I have struggled with it for over 20 years.
Wow.
And it's still a learning curve.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's frustrating.
It is. And again, I would definitely encourage you to utilize this venue. You know, rebuild, get Command Central back on track. Because not every doctor's out there is a bad guy, you know?
No, it's not. And I just recently had a diabetes doctor that I really liked because he was more concerned. He didn't
Sure.
spend just 10 minutes with me.
Right.
But he got me to a diabetes educator and
Mm-hmm.
and a nutritionist, and that's the thing that helped. Except
Absolutely.
I still like my dinner hours from 6 to 10.
Yeah. Right. And basically, if we can go back to that reversal of the wedge, the breakfast for a king or a queen, the lunch for a prince or princess, and dinner like a pauper,
Yeah.
I will tell you, not only do we have significant improvement of glycemic control, but we find our smiling muscles work better, our sleep pattern improves, decreased GI symptoms. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
Well, you also have to realize if you're low in any nutrients, I was just reading on vitamin D,
Right.
that has a lot to do with your emotional moods and a whole bunch of other things. And it's like, oh wow, because I'm on the low scale of, I'm in the proper range, but still too low to make the smiling muscles work all the time.
But it sounds like we're going the right way. Got some hands here, and so go here first.
Okay. Well, I think I hear this, doctors can help, but until we look in the mirror and take our own responsibility for everything, we're not going to get better. If we're just going to the doctor to get better, we're just going to
They
sit
just
on
want
the
more
couch.
money.
They can help, it's your responsibility to get
Well,
better.
and again, my place is not to just put healthcare professionals down. As a PA, I have been privileged to be able to reverse diabetes hundreds of times, you know, with my patients, and I look at this as a team effort and an educational process. And many folks, when I first meet them, they're not ready. They mentally, physically, spiritually, they're just not ready. So the medications can help level the playing field a little bit, start getting them shored up, and all of a sudden medications start going away. We start seeing the shift away from the pharmaceutical to the nutraceutical. And I will tell you, you know, that's what gets me excited. And yes, it's a process. It's an educational process. It's a retraining process. When I took an individual, I've shared with this class, over 400 pounds, a young lady in her 30s, her main issue, no breakfast, no meal schedule, never has met the nutritional needs. Trying to walk, going at 400 plus pounds, come on. stop walking. Let's start, let's start on the important things. She thought I was torturing her, but she wanted she was willing to do anything. And I said, so I'm going to make one requirement, and that is we're going to start working on breakfast. It took us 6 weeks of pure misery before she actually started waking up hungry in the morning. She's the one that lost 150 pounds in a year and a half. Tony, I know you had your hand up.
You emphasize the meal schedule, and a lot of people sometimes are busy in their work and everything going on. Is it safe to say, well, how about the 5 hours between? Because I know that's been brought up, and
Sure.
then the 3 hours before you go to bed not to eat anything, because everybody's schedule is different. Is that a good rule of thumb to follow?
It is. I promote that. Some folks, like if I have a nurse that works nights, and we're just completely in chaos, mornings, evenings, days off, days on, all of these things. When we started hearing and start building a program, so we wake up at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to be at work at 7. And so the first meal of the day we're going to call breakfast, whether it's at 6 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock at night. And it's going to be fit for a king or a queen. Then about 5 hours later, we're going to be targeting that second meal that's going to be just a couple of ticks down on that, fit for a prince or princess. And then about 5 hours later, so they're sitting here, potentially eating their dinner at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it's going to be something light, and then they get home, and they're sitting here going, wow, I'm not eating right before I go to bed. I'm sleeping better, I'm feeling better. And then on the days of transition, they go home, they've eaten their dinner at 4 o'clock in the morning, they go to bed, and they sleep for maybe 4 or 5 hours, then they get up and try to move into a day schedule with their family. Going perfect day to do a 2-meal schedule. So they're going to grab, and again, with Command Central on board, we start being focused on meeting the needs of our body. Then they go to bed, and they've got a couple of days, and then they're transitioning back to night. I will tell you, it's so exciting to see our body's metabolism become functional again. It's a big deal. So yeah, those are some great parameters, and many folks, it's a process on incorporating that into and making a positive lifestyle change. Yes? Nope? All right. All right, very good. So bottom line, again, making sense out of what we're doing and how this all ties together. I popped up to this one just because I wanted to point out 1931. We had a lot of discussion a couple of weeks ago about pH. And some real questions going on there. I also wanted to hit on this real quick. Wow, I can't believe how much time has gone today. And so I'm really not going to get through stuff today. I apologize, but I think it's exciting stuff as we're wrapping our minds around this. So the handout that I gave you, I gave you the sections on Nutraceuticals and prebiotics. This was kind of at the last part of our discussion 2 weeks ago. And I wanted to point this out because vegetarianism is a diet that can modulate the intestinal microbiota. So we're talking again about the organisms in our GI tract.
Friendly buddies.
I'm sorry?
The friendly buddies.
The friendly buddies, absolutely. Because of the high amounts of fiber consumed. Okay, so we eat foods that have fiber. Now we've talked about this morning the benefit of extended release on the blood sugar side of it. Okay, so that apple, now that fiber that we've ingested, we now are going to have an increase of short-chain fatty acid production by microbes. Well, the short-chain fatty acids, again, like we've talked about, that is just fuel. Okay, those are positives. We're going to create more of an alkaline environment. Okay, now all of a sudden we're sitting here going, wow, alkaline environment, decreased probability of cancer, increased probability of improved health. all because of what we're eating. The microbes, okay, short chain fatty acid production by microbes, which can decrease intestinal pH. Okay, and I think a couple of weeks ago we were talking about decreased pH means more acidic. Okay, that's a good thing. We want that acidic stool. Indeed, subjects on a vegan or vegetarian diet showed significantly lower intestinal and stool pH. Okay, so now we're talking about the waste products our body is producing being more acid, more acidic, decreased pH, which prevented the growth of potentially pathogenic bacteria such as E. coli and other members of the Enterobacteria family there. And so wrapping their minds around this again, even though we're talking about alkaline being positive, more acidic is going to decrease. Okay, so we're talking about stool, waste, more acidic is good. Significantly lower total amounts of variety of species there in vegan samples was demonstrated compared with controls. So again, profound evidence that what you and I are eating is impacting the microbiota, that balance of organisms in our GI tract. And again, the reverse was associated with a diet that contained a low proportion of plant-based foods. And again, we go out into our society and we find folks that are looking for fast options. We're not going to see fruits and vegetables, whole foods. This is exactly where we're going to see increased pathological ratios. We're going to have much more pathological bacteria than beneficial. So dietary interventions designed to promote short-chain fatty acid production in the colon may therefore have some efficacy in the treatment of dysbiosis. And again, dysbiosis is indeed that, I'm just going to call it chaos, because there's no better term for it. Chaos in the GI tract, yes.
So this collection of books you have kind of helps you to eat a more alkaline diet or eat stuff to make everything alkaline?
So yes, and basically, you know, as we all go through life, right? You know, there was a point in my life I was raised vegetarian, and there was a point in my life that I fell right into that trap. I was going, you know, it's a lot easier to just drive through Burger King, order some burger that's got a bunch of you know, tomatoes and lettuce, and I can slam it down. I can keep going, and you know, I can be okay with that. You know.
So you do eat meat?
I'm sorry?
So you do eat meat?
I don't anymore. Don't go there. So basically it's we're all on this continuum, and it's again an individual you know, choice. It's an individual choice to move away from alcohol. It's an individual choice not to snack between meals. It's an individual choice to eat more plant-based than you know, meat and dairy. So all of these individual choices, and when we have you know, scientific evidence that tells us, okay, folks that eat a lot of meat and no vegetables and very little fruit have a higher probability of dysbiosis. We're going, okay, scientific studies. This one released in February 2015. So new and up-to-date information there. You know, this from 1931. You know, this guy is just, you know, amazing. Here he is, 1931. You know, gets a Nobel Prize for cancer discovery, because he's making statements like no disease, including cancer, can exist in an alkaline environment.
That's pretty strong.
That is incredibly strong. Absolutely.
Can we just go through this in church and forget church? I'm sorry.
Well, I gotta tell you, you know, I'm definitely gonna be coming back and visiting this, but I wanted to share this as we're wrapping up today. You know, again, talking about Nobel, you know, prizes, and Dr. Linus Pauling is actually one of 2 individuals that has received 2 Nobel Prizes in different fields. So that doesn't happen very often. And it was 1954, he got his first Nobel in chemistry. And this guy, I mean, you know, it would be, he passed away, I think in, what was it, 94, I think it was 1994. But he's one of the founders of quantum chemistry and molecular biology, worked on DNA structure. His chemistry Nobel was on orthomolecular medicine, megavitamin therapy, and dietary supplements. 1954. And I'm sitting here going, okay, so what is orthomolecular, right? It sounds really cool, right? You're all sitting down.
Food ingested kind of, is that right? Eating food?
Alternative medicine with a focus on improving human health with nutraceuticals.
Amen.
Whoa. Massive.
And he probably wasn't an Adventist.
No ma'am. And, you know, and that's where, as a Seventh-day Adventist, we're blessed. I've been blessed because we have this thought process. I mean, Loma Linda University, Kettering Medical Center, all of the Adventist institutions around the world were founded on the principles that we are talking about here. And that is the recognition of a meal schedule, portion control, food choice, total body response to everything that we put into our mouth. And most importantly, Command Central's got to lead. And when each one of us starts applying these principles and we start looking at these incredible minds at work, just based on scientific evidence that are arriving at and can tell us what the health principles are that we're promoting in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we're going, wow, isn't this great? Pretty awesome stuff. So with that, I do have to wrap up, but I will tell you, I've got Dr. Meyer coming in next week. I will be back in 2 weeks, and we're going to pick up. I'm going to go back through these slides that I went zip, zip, zip through, and because I want all of us to have our minds completely wrapped around and understanding the profound impact of nutraceuticals and the excitement of prebiotics, and just being able to kind of pare down through some of the biochemistry and make sense of it. It's a big deal. Let's close with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you again for this opportunity that we've had to study and learn more. And we ask that you go with each individual that's here today and help make and continue to make positive changes in their lives. Bring us all back again safely next week. In Jesus' name. Thank you all very much. Feel free to hang out, ask some questions if you would like.
These are your